Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a fun video, and unfortunately, it's not going to be products that you can buy. I'm going to be covering about half a dozen watches from Seiko and Orient, and the one thing they have in common is that they were all incredibly popular, and they were all discontinued, no longer available. So I thought it would be nice to show you guys, what has been around and why these items are discontinued. No one can really say. I'll go into each of them in detail for my own wrist check. Definitely a watch that will probably never be discontinued. Well, the Speedmaster itself. This is the reduced size. And then on the other wrist, Seagull 1963 Air Force re-edition chronograph. Anyway, let's head on over and check out these watches that you probably will not be able to get. We all want what we can't have. That is tragically part of the human condition. So in front of you here, I've got 6 watches that are pretty much, for the most part, unavailable. The manufacturers, again, for most of them, have pretty much said they are not making them anymore, which is quite a tragedy because they filled a lot of voids that are missing in some of the more popular styles. I'll just pick them up and go over them one by one in not too much detail and, let you know, in my opinion, what made them special with customers. So I think without a doubt, the most missed watch is the Seiko Monster. This is a second generation Monster. This was model number SRP 309. Now, Seiko has not come out and said the Monster is discontinued, at least in anything that I've seen. But going on now, about 2 years or so, we haven't seen any. It's not looking good that they're going to make them again. The Monster has been around since about 2006 or so, I think a little bit earlier. So it's over a decade of production. Went through three versions or 3 generations: the SKX 779, 781, the SRP 307, 309, and then the Japanese ones. I think it was SBDCO 25 or something. I kind of forget, but the Gen 1 and Gen 2 were the most popular. So why was the Monster such a popular watch? As I show it to you here. Well, when it came out, it was really groundbreaking in its design. It was a dive watch, but it didn't look like a Rolex Submariner, and it still doesn't. It had its very aggressive bezel styling. It's the knurling or the patterning on the edge of the bezel. The case design itself. The crown on the Gen 2 at least has this knurling on it. Just a lot of attention to detail. Of course, there was Lumibrite that makes it glow extra well. There's a day and a date. It's an automatic. These hand wind and hack, and they were going out for usually around $200, which that's basically 007, 009 territory. And this was just such a beefy diver, and like I said, it was called the Monster. It was nicknamed the Monster by watch people. And obviously nowadays, it is not a Monster. There are much bigger watches to be contended with. It was, 42 or so millimeters across. So there's much bigger guys nowadays. But this was definitely a groundbreaker, and I think a watch that, laid the framework for a lot of future designs. So Seiko Monster, probably not going to see him again. Now, from Seiko to an Orient, and this one's been discontinued, but it's been replaced. And the only reason I'm showing this one is just because I think it's funny. When these watches were out, this is an Orient Mako Pepsi, EM65003D. It's amazing. I kind of memorize all these numbers. Yeah, 3D. This watch came in blue, black, on metal, on rubber, in Pepsi format. And it has the extra pusher, the Mako and Ray. And this pusher was for the day of the week. The day of the week could not be set via the crown. Only the date could. So you had this extra pusher, which is actually a screw down, so you unscrew it. And you could push it to set the day. See that? And then you would screw it down again. And basically screwing it down prevents unwanted actuation of the day. So now I can't change the day. When this watch came out, a lot of people, I guess the commentary that I would get from people was, I love the watch. I wish they'd get rid of the pusher. And the watch was produced for many years in this fashion. And when Gen 2 came out, which was released, Gen 2 was about almost 2 years ago now, so around 2015, I think, middle of 2015, it came to the USA market. When the Gen 2s came out, they dropped this pusher. And guess what some of the complaints were? I wish it had the extra pusher. I really liked it. So I guess in the old adage that you can't make everybody happy all the time, this watch certainly fits the bill. So this is a Mako Pepsi first gen, definitely discontinued, no longer being made because even Orient's phasing out the movement that's in here, this non-hand winding, non-hacking movement with the extra pusher for the day of the week. Back to a Seiko, and this is the Spork. SRP 043 K1, and this watch came on the bracelet and also came on a nice silicone rubber strap, the SRP 043 K2. This was out, I don't know, about 7 years ago, 8 years ago or so. Probably of all the watches I'm going to show you, maybe the shortest lived. This was only kicking for a couple of years. So it is a Seiko automatic diver. What's interesting about the watch is that it's powered by a 4R15 movement. And you can tell by the SRP number. A lot of the watches now that Seiko makes, the divers, are SRPs. Very low number, 043. This has a 4R15, which I don't even know if they still put into watches. It's after the 7S26 and before the 6R15 came out. So I believe it has a Spron mainspring with a 50-hour power reserve. Doesn't hand wind and hack. Pretty interesting. Screw down crown, 200 meters. What made this watch special is definitely 100% the style. It's a diver, easily we can see that. But the dial itself, it's a pilot's dial. It's got pilot hands. I mean, it's really a good-looking watch. And I think if they made this watch today, it would be a knockout sellout, 100%. And that's, again, the reason for the name Spork. A spork in America is a spoon fork. It's one of those double duty guys. This is a diver that's also an aviator. And it's just a winner any day of the week. I mean, it's big, it's bulky, it's 45 millimeters in diameter. These were going for around, usually under 300 or so. And now, once they were discontinued, I saw them as high as 600-700. But we can see when this one's from. Let's check out the date. Wow, this is from 2010, December 2010. This guy came out, and it's one of the first 100 and change pieces off the assembly line. So I guess my dating was a little bit off. Well, I don't know what I said. I don't know if I said 7 years or 6 years. So maybe I am right. But again, this only came out for a few years. There you can see at the top right here, 4R15. That is the movement. It's got all the regular divers markings, the tsunami wave. It's got everything. But, man, look at that. Luma Bright on the dial, so it glows. Do you want to see a glow shot? Sure, I'll do one. Because everyone's seen a Monster glow shot, but no one's seen a Spork glow shot, right? Boom. That thing lights up like a candle. It actually, I believe it runs. I just, it's not a hand-winding movement. So I'll give it a jostle just to see if it's going. And, let's see if we can get it to run when the lights come back on. I'll give it a couple of shakes. Off to the races. So it's 7, 8 years old. Movement's obviously never been serviced. The watch has never been opened, never been touched. Still like a champ. So this is the Seiko Spork. Unfortunately, another watch that you will never see. I should mention, obviously you guys are wondering where these watches are coming from. The Monster is my own personal watch. The Spork I've been sitting on for, I guess, 7 or 8 years. It was dug up not too long ago in a bin during inventory. And everything else are just, watches that have been sitting around the office and they're here for one reason or another. Maybe something's wrong with them. Maybe they were reserved and never bought. But now they're, all just used for parts for the most part. This is an Orient Moderno, DW00003W. Bingo. Made in Japan, open heart watch. Now, what makes this one special that you can't see here is that it's sub 40. It's around 38, 39 millimeters in diameter. So all the people that are shouting, the Bambino is too big at 40.5 millimeters, this was the watch for them. Sold hundreds of them in the short duration that I had them. I don't know what their span of production was, but this was 2 summers ago that we had these. We had them in white, and we had them in black on the bracelet. Whoops. And extremely, extremely popular. It's the same movement that was in the Orient Eminence, which has also been discontinued. Their open heart with sapphire crystal. So this was just a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. This one also has a sapphire crystal, I should say. See-through case back. Solid link bracelet. The white dial was the runaway hit. You can see the patterning on it. You can see the beautiful blue hands. Matches my gloves perfectly. It's again, this was really a hit. What was funny about this watch is that, and maybe this one exhibits it a bit. Yeah, you see the chapter ring is counterclockwise by about half a tick. It was funny. I never really heard about the problem on any Orient watch. And then all of a sudden, people started saying on the Moderno that their chapter rings were off a bit. And I was like, no way. So this must be why this one is on the side, because the chapter ring is off. But yeah, there you go. Chapter ring misalignment even exists here. But this is, again, the Orient Moderno. When we were selling it, for... I want to say it was under $200. It was a bargain, let's say that, for either the white or the black. But just a real knockout, and it's a shame they discontinued it because it answered the sub 40 calling. And now if you want a sub 40 watch, you got to go for like the Orient Star Classic, which is at like 38 millimeters, 39 millimeters. So this one fit a lot of bills. And the last one, probably the one... Well, I mean, everyone's looking for a Seiko Monster, I guess. But this one exploded in popularity in the last year or so. This is Seiko SNK L23. There you go. It's a Seiko 5. And we sold this watch for a long time. Seiko USA was distributing them. We had them. And they sold well. Nice looking watch. You can't tell yet. I'm going to zoom in on the dial and you'll see the patterning on the dial. We sold it decently. It is a Seiko 5, so it's 37 or 38 millimeters in diameter. It's a pretty small watch, or smaller, which is perfect for people looking for a small watch like the Moderno. Day and date. Crown is tucked away. You barely see it. Runs on a 7S26 or 7S36 movement. Let's see which one it's going to be. It's the 7S26, so it's the same movement that you get on a 007. Selling for usually well under $100, $80, $90. And then Hodinkee published an article on this, and they called it the value proposition or something. And they took off the bracelet and put on a brown croc strap, some kind of pattern strap, and the watch literally exploded. We were selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and then all of a sudden, the supply dried up. And the last I heard is that this watch more than likely will not be distributed in the USA anymore. I do wish they changed that. I have petitioned many times and asked them to continue to make it, but I am a very small voice. Will the international market still make it? It's a possibility. It's a chance they'll still make it. But as far as I know, for the USA, it ain't coming back. So what makes the watch special, obviously, besides Hodinkee did an article on it, when you pair it with the strap, it looks beautiful, almost like a Sarbo 33. Look at the hands, but the dial, that tuxedo striping on the outside of the dial, it's even tough to get when I'm close up with the camera, but it really pops. It just looks gorgeous. And shortly before I filmed this, I just went, because we have a feature on our website. You could add yourself to a waiting list for stuff that's out of stock. And I checked, and this watch has currently over 1,400 email addresses on notification if it were to ever come back into stock. So that's by far the most notifications out of any watch that I have or ever sold on the website. And those addresses were garnered over the course of several months. It's not even like it's been years. So this is the Seiko 5, model number SNKL23. This has been Mark from LongIslandWatch.com, showing you a bunch of Seikos and Orients that are pretty much discontinued and not available. I hope the video was not too tempting. I felt it was important to do, though, so we can see as consumers that there are qualities in watches that make them super popular to us, but for one reason or another, the manufacturer decided that it was a fail, and they did not want to go forward with it. I do find it hard to believe in the case of the Seiko Monster that it was a failure for them, but who knows what goes on in the minds of corporate individuals. So please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below, and I'll be sure to address them as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.